lot of strange places, different places, and we talk to people and we get them to tell us about their experiences. And I guess we're really bad truck drivers because we're supposed to be mean and gruff and go in these places and holler and scream and cuss at the people. And we found out that, well, both of us knew from our own experience that you don't holler, scream, or cuss at people. If you talk nice to them, pretty soon they'll talk nice to you. We went into, we got orders to ship 6 trucks to the old port in Baltimore, and we've only been there once, and that was the only time. So we go in there, and I have to stop at the main entry and get approval, and that was a chore. Anyhow, we got done and got told where to go, so I drive over and do what I was told to do the first time, and finally I contact the guy. I don't remember his name, Phil or something, whatever it was.
This was before 2001.
Right, this is before 9/11 happened.
Right.
So,
we could still get on the port.
You didn't have to have anything special to get on the port. We rented a car. I don't remember why we rented a car, but we rented a car. We didn't use our pickup. We had a rental car.
I think it was in the shop in Dundalk.
No, but that was another time. But for some reason, we rented a car, and I would drive the truck, and Leslie would chase me and then take me back. And we were going to try to get all 6 trucks moved in one day. It took us 2, actually. I got 3 a day. I got the first one over, and the guy said, "Why did you do that? You should have just brought it out here and parked it." And he said, "Why'd you do that? You should have just brought it over here and parked it." I said, "Yes, sir." So went back for the second one, and we parked it where he said to, and got him, and we went back for the third one and parked it. And he was still kind of gruff. And the second day that we went into it, got the first truck in there, and this truck driver that was in the office ahead of me, and he was up to the counter, and he'd had an appointment time of like 8:30, whatever it was, and he was belligerent when he walked in. So the guy behind the counter told me afterwards that he was mouthy. I guess the guy said he was mouthy then, but the guy behind the counter just told him, "You go sit down on that bench over there." Same day, the day before, he told me, "You go sit on that bench over there, and I'll call you when I'm ready for you." Well, I had a paperback book in my pocket, because I was told this is what's going to happen. They're going to tell you to sit on the bench. They take care of their regular drivers first, and they'll work you in when they can. So I'd taken along a book to read. He said, "You go sit on the bench," and that's exactly what I did. And I waited for him to call me, and he called me, and I was there about 5 minutes. He called me, and I took care of my business. And after that, I rarely sat on the bench. Wait a minute. A minute was about what it was before I was told where to go and what to do. Well, the second day, I get in there, and the guy behind the counter is all smiles at me for some reason. "How are you today? Boy, am I glad to see you," and that kind of thing. And of course, I wondered what in the world's going on. This is just after I heard him tell, "You go sit on that counter, and I'll call you when I'm ready for you, and don't get off, or you go sit on that bench, and I'll call you when I'm ready for you, and you don't get off that bench till I call you." And I'm going, "Okay." And then he's all smiles and cheerful and nice to me. So I went, "Okay." So I went, delivered my truck. She picked me up, went after the second truck, and I go in there, and guess who's...
Look.
Uh-oh, hang on. This is the kind of thing you see alongside the highway.
Oh my God, the truck's still attached.
The truck was still attached to it. Anyhow, I went back for with my second truck, and I come in the office, and here's this guy sitting on the bench, and he's not very happy. And the guy behind the counter is, "Hi, you back with another one? Oh, goody." And He tells me right where to go, and I go over. And I think we only got 2 that day, didn't we, for some reason?
No, we were supposed to take 3. They gave you an extra one. We were supposed to take 4.
So anyhow, we were back the 3rd day.
And we weren't going to be back in time for the 4th one, but they said, we'll wait for you.
At where?
At that port.
No, because I think it was the next day when we came in and we only had 1 truck.
Yes.
Whatever it was.
Decided that we weren't going to make them stay late.
Right. So we came back the next day and with our last truck, and by now, this guy that had been, you go park over there right now, and how come you did what you did? You go park there. Well, sir. So anyhow, I decided to do what I do best. I pushed the envelope, as my wife can attest to. So I said, you wouldn't, and I had my camera bag, I had about $5,000 or $6,000 worth of digital camera at the time, and had cameras in the car. And I said, would you mind if we drove over and took some pictures? Oh, no, go ahead. So you've seen those big things with the big arm that sticks out over the ship, and it's got the thing that goes out there and it goes down, it picks up the container and then brings it back and sets it on the counter. And these huge cranes, we're parked on the railroad tracks underneath one of those, right at the water's edge. We're watching them work, people are driving around us, and this guy comes over, and I thought, oh, now we're in trouble. This guy comes over and he says, have you been downtown to the Inner Harbor? And I said, what's the Inner Harbor? What's going on? He told us where the Inner Harbor was, and he says, the tall ships are arriving. You really ought to go down to the Inner Harbor and see the tall ships. Well, and when he says, see the tall ships, about that time, he points out to the ocean and he says, see, there's a bunch of them right now. And we both looked out there, and there must have been, what, 10 or 12 of them?
Yeah.
Big single and double-masted sailing vessels that were coming into the Inner Harbor for some kind of festival. And consequently, we talked with this guy. Now, this is the guy that, you go park right over there. And he spent, what?
About 20 minutes talking to us about it.
Just about that. Well, he was out there for almost an hour before we were done. I remember that.
Well, yeah. Since you like to get your yak on, I kind of left you guys while I went and took pictures. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So anyhow, he was over there about an hour talking about everything and telling us about the port, what went on, and how things worked at the port. What?
That plant out there.
Oh, that power plant. The steam that's coming off of it, it's not coming out of the smokestacks. It's coming off of the coolers that's down on the ground that cools the water after it's been heated up and run through the turbines, and then they reclaim it. That cloud you see is coming off of the coolers, the evaporators.
Try it again.
See that one smokestack that's really putting out the steam? That turbine is really fired up. They're really generating electricity there. But the other one that has the smaller coming out of the smokestack, that one they're just using to finish up whatever they need.
Okay, go.
See, the water tower has the name on the side of it.
Okay.
In the town of Concordia, Kansas, at the airport, I can't remember the guy's name, but his wife, I think it was the 1930s, his wife let it drive to get the names of the towns painted on the water towers of all the small towns around, so that when airplanes were flying over, they'd know what town it was. That was the first of any kind of aid for the pilots in the beginning of aviation in the United States. You fly along and look at the water tower and you knew where you were. There were no maps.
Thank you, dear.